Allow me to introduce you to my Buick Riviera. We call her K-Rivy, or just Rivy for short. And in a minute I'll explain to you why. This is the original 425 cubic inch nail head engine. I think she has about 67,000 miles on her. It's original, hasn't been opened up. I've updated it to electronic ignition from Pertronics, I think you call it. You put that in the original distributor. And a 4-row radiator using the original tanks. And just new hoses, new spark plug wires, and new spark plugs. That's all we've ever done. Everything works on the car except for the power window and the air condition. I've owned the car since 1990, and I live in Southern California, and never found the reason to get the air conditioning going, but I do plan on doing it soon. Original washer bottles in there. This vehicle was found by myself in the recycler classifieds. For those of you who don't know what the recycler is, it was the Craigslist of its time. It was a newspaper you'd get for about $1 or $1.50 at 7-Eleven, and go through it and find some nice deals. And I found this one on there. And at the time, I was in the 65 through 67 Chevy Impalas, and I had a number of them. And I was going through there looking for some more Impalas and for some parts or whatever. I came across this. I wasn't sure what a Riviera was, so I went to go see it. It was advertised as having 63,000 miles at the time, and it was for $1,900. I went to go see it. It was in a parking garage in the Wilshire area of Los Angeles. It had been parked there for 14 years. Tires were flat. The muffler or exhaust system was rotted out, and they say they parked it years ago. In the early 80s they parked it, or late 70s is when they parked it. Yeah, late 70s, because they needed an engine. The car was clean enough. I thought it was worthy of purchasing and putting a new engine in it. So we put some air in the tires and got it towed home. Got it in my garage. And before I pulled the engine in to rebuild, I decided to find out what was wrong with the engine that was in it. After a little bit of poking around and some investigating, all it needed was a water pump. So I put a water pump on it and been driving it ever since after I tuned it up. My original T3 lights are still in it. Original license plate that came with the car, that were issued to the car. A little bit of damage, a few scratches and little dings here and there. It's original paint. There's a ding there, some door dings here. Car's dirty right now, and me being an auto detailer by profession, it shouldn't be. There's a scratch here. Now these hubcaps did not come with the car original. I purchased this vehicle from the second owner, and the second owner said at one point in time somebody stole his hubcaps, so he went to the dealer in the mid-70s and bought hubcaps. And when I purchased this car, the 4 hubcaps were still in the General Motors box in the trunk, all brand new. So I put them on. I think they look beautiful. I also received all the paperwork to this car, everything that was ever done to it. And on the paperwork was the information to the original owner. So one day I'm going through the paperwork and I decided maybe I should try to contact the original owner. But the phone number was part letters and part numbers, and there was no area code, and it kind of confused me. But one day it dawned on me that we have letters on the telephone, and maybe these letters will match up and create a number that I'd recognize. So that's the way they used to do it back then. So I called this lady up, and this is in the mid-90s, okay? An old lady answers the phone, and I asked for K-Webb, and the lady says, "That's me." And I was shocked. I was, wow. I said, "I have a 1964 Buick Riviera. I have 74,000 miles on it, and it's gold, and your name is on the dash." And she said, "You have to be kidding me." She said out of every car she's ever owned, that car was her favorite. So we made arrangements to meet up. So I did. She lived in Norwalk, California, and she bought this car from Simpson Buick that was located at Downey at the time. You can see the interior is a little bit worn, but it's not. There is a rip in this seat, is why I put sheepskin covers, but the rest of it's nice, real nice. So anyway, I met up with the original owner. I knocked. little old lady in her mid-80s came out, and she pushed me out of the way, and she ran over, and she leaned over the front of this fender here and hugged that car. And stood, and she hugged that car for about a minute or two. And she said out of every car she's ever owned, this was her favorite. Yeah, there's a dent here, I know. She told me she paid for this car out the door. $5,000 is what she paid for it. And they traded it in the early 70s because they needed a 4-door. And they traded it in for a Ford LTD 4-door, if you can believe it. They had a family that was growing and needed a bigger car. It's only been out of the state once. She said she took it to a trip to Texas. And I think that's where that dent happened. Happened in Texas. This license plate here, original to the car. I owned it for 2 or 3 years at the time when I was going to come put a new registration sticker on it. And it had a big stack of prior registration stickers. So I went to peel it off to put the fresh one on. No sense of making the stack bigger. So while I was peeling it off, the whole stack comes off, except for the first one. So I can't bring myself to covering that one up, so I leave it. And in the 26 or so years I've owned it, I've only been pulled over once. And the police officer said, does that say 1964? Am I going crazy? I said, yes, sir, it does. So I told him the story, and I said, I can't cover it. And all the while, I'm showing him my registration, the sticker, and everything I keep in the glove compartment, my proof of insurance. He has my driver's license, and he says, all right, you have a nice day. I said, you want me to go put the sticker on it? He says, it doesn't bother me. There's another dent right here. So she's not perfect, but we enjoy her a lot. Now, when I met up with Kay Webb, she gave me some pictures, and if you got them right here in the glove compartment. Like I said, everything works on the car except for the air condition. Let me get to this picture right here. There's Mr. Webb. This is their trip in Texas, I think, or up Northern California. And the license plate, you can see it. FVN357. Can you see that? There we go. So that's the same plate I have. Now look at the hubcaps. When Mrs. Webb saw the car, she got done hugging it. She says, it looks exactly like I remember it. Except for those hubcaps, she said. There she is right there. There's Mrs. Webb. There's Mrs. K. Webb. Oh, she fell out. It's all the better. There she is right there. Now, she said, I don't remember those hubcaps. And the husband said, yeah, those are the ones. Those are the ones that came with the car. She goes, no, I don't think so. And he got loud. He says, no, those are the ones, I'm telling you. She goes, all right. Okay, but I just thought they were different. Well, not until I got those pictures and I looked at them that I realized that she was right. It didn't come with these hubcaps. But I do like these better. So anyway, this is my Riviera. That's K-Riv. Original paint. She's not perfect, but she's loved. And I thought you would enjoy.